Good morning. Thank you very much. Thank you for including me in this panel. It's very exciting to be a part of this. Do I have? Yes. Okay, great. I'm going to start off with, is that what it is? Thank you. All right. This is a picture from a conference that we just hosted this week. It ended yesterday, and this isn't working. There it is. Okay, great. Does your conference look like this? Do you want it to? Right? That's what this session is about. These are not actors. These are STM researchers in not their native environment, but we've made it a little bit more fun for them with some games. So I'm going to, there we go. So I'm going to be doing some storytelling. And I'm going to be doing some storytelling around public engagement. And really, the storytelling, we're looking at the results. Why do we do public engagement? And I'm going to do it as a call to adventure. So a bit about me. My name is Michelle Randall. I am the Director of Operations for the IBS Center for Quantum Nanoscience at Ewha Women's University, which is right across the street. And so I've been doing that since 2017. I'm responsible at QNS for everything that's not the science. So the public engagement is one small aspect of the work that I do, that my team does. I am not a scientist. My background, I have an MBA. As I was actually saying during last night, I was invited not to attend physics classes because my math wasn't there in high school. But I love things involving money and business. So I've been Vice President of Marketing. I have been a CFO, been an entrepreneur, and I am currently the chair of the Committee for Public Engagement for the American Physical Society. All right. So very quickly about our center, our research center, since that is important. We work at the very, very, very small scale. We work with spins. We work with quantum interactions. We're multidisciplinary of physics, chemistry, and theory. We've established 2017. We currently have 70 members. We are half Korean and half rest of world from 15 countries. So we are truly diverse right here in Seoul. And 60% of our researchers are female. The work of QNS is we understand quantum phenomena really absolutely precisely at the atomic scale. What that impacts is that quantum technologies are they have an idea, they're kind of in this larger scale, not the atomic scale, they're larger, and they're kind of like fudging dealing with the quantum effects. But the quantum effects become more and more important the smaller you get. And they're heading toward a hard limit where they really need to understand how exactly these quantum effects work. And we are developing the library of knowledge to be able to enable these final steps into these truly, truly miniaturized devices. A couple of our key results, we developed the first Korean qubit, which is on surface, and it was made with 5 atoms. We also developed the first mobile quantum sensor. So over here, we assemble atomically the sensor, pull it up, and bring it across a surface, and allowing magnetic and energy resolution that has only been dreamt of before. But enough about that. Let's get to storytelling. Has anyone heard of the hero's journey? I'm seeing nodding. So just you guys online, people are nodding. So it's a very typical way of telling a story. And it starts with the ordinary world. If you see, since I'm going to assume this is a little bit of a nerdy audience, that the Lord of the Rings is a good example. You have the ordinary world. You get a call to adventure. Refusal of the call. Nope, I'm not going to do it. And then you meet the mentor. So I hope I don't look quite as grizzled as that mentor, but I'm going to offer myself as your mentor for the duration of this talk. All right, then here we go. So we're going to start, and I'm going to be telling stories to illustrate the impact of public engagement. So here's the call to adventure. Trust in science is under attack. In the middle of last century, there was a high trust in science, there was significant government investment, and a popular belief in the objectivity of science. Now we have mixed trust levels. Misinformation in social media has trust in science under attack. And we have very strong political and cultural divides that are very ideological and very difficult to overcome. This is worldwide phenomenon, right? You can hear from my accent, I am from the United States. We are leading the charge downward in trust, but it is going on and is under threat worldwide. And the people who can have a real impact on that are the scientists, are the ones who can engage. The worst part is that surveys show that people may still trust the scientific method, but they have lost trust in institutions. They've lost trust in the scientists themselves. But engaging and being a human with them can make a difference. So I'm going to show you some ways that that's the case. I'm going to start by talking about our engagement at QNS. I'm going to talk about 4 things that we do. We do much more. One is our art contests. We have a middle school nanoscience curriculum. We unleash the creativity of our own team. And then we have a very robust social media presence, which I will start with. So if you look over here, this video has almost 70,000 views. So we dig into our, so this is where you can find us. We are very active in our social media. But as we dug into the analytics of our social media, we started saying, okay, South Korea, good, that's our target market. We show up very well. And we're like, what's going on with India? Like, how does that make sense? Until we met this postdoc, this student candidate. She was doing her studies in India, and we found out her professors were showing our YouTube videos in her class, right? So you put these things out there on YouTube and you think, I'm just shouting at the wilderness. Who's paying attention? Well, it turns out it changed her life. So she decided to come to Korea. She wanted to study with us, but felt that she was not qualified to immediately start with us. So she went to Korea University and got her master's, and now she's a PhD student with us. So you take those numbers and you boil them down, and you get individuals, and you get lives that are being engaged and changed. I'm going to talk now about our art contests. I chose this slow transition because I usually talk too fast, but now I think it made me too slow. All right. So a lot of art contests exist in the art and science space, but mainly what you see are contests where scientists are asked to make their art look more, make their results look more artful or arty, right? We did it in a completely different way. Mainly because I didn't know what I was doing. I didn't know that that other method existed, so we had the great opportunity to move into a new building, which meant like 5,000 meters of blank white walls. And I was thinking, how are we going to deal with all of this empty space? And then I thought, let's have an art contest, and we'll just have students, and they can make art, and whatever they make, we'll put it on the walls, and at least it will be colorful. I asked a staff member to handle this, and she imagined it in a completely different way, so much more effective than I ever could have imagined. What we do, actually, is we teach artists our science. So we actually engage with the artistic community. So can anybody give me an idea of what would be the use of teaching artists about our science? What do artists have to do? They have to create and express themselves, and they have to promote their work, right? So now all of these artists are working on our field, expressing it in their way and promoting our work through their work, and we don't have to say a word. So they're promoting us on their own. So we teach artists to express our quantum theories and concepts in their own voices. Okay, now, there we go, I got the wrong thing. These are the different art contests that we've had. We started with a lot of entries, and we went down, but that's really a good thing. When we had 430 entries, literally we had a lot of bad stuff. We had somebody put a cat in a box and took a picture. Whereas now what we really have gotten to is some beautiful fine art. And the categories are painting, illustration, photography, and video. The first 2 years, the videos actually were the winners. But I'm going to tell you a bit about Jin-kyung's story. Jin-kyung is one of our PhD students. She just recently graduated and went off to do a postdoc in Hamburg. So in year 1 of her PhD, she was struggling. She was wondering, so she had double majored in physics and art history. And she was looking at herself and saying, I don't know what I want to be. I can't give up either part of myself. And so this allowed her to be her whole self. She wrote articles to show to artists like how spin or how quantum concepts show up in art. And then she volunteered to give a talk to the artists. So we thought maybe 20 people would arrive. And if your eyes are better than mine, you will see the look on her face of a bit of shock and a bit of fear, because it was much better received than we could have imagined. It was standing room only, sitting on the floor, and so her work continued. The other of our researchers got involved, because it's important to look at that the public engagement is also enriching for the researchers. It's a part of them being able to fully express themselves. Jin-kyung wrote more articles. Kyungju No, she made a wonderful comic talking about explaining spin. And Masin Kalai, a postdoc, came and he created an entire Instagram series about qubits. What we've also discovered is that being able to do this work, the people who are curious about it, and they're excellent, Masin just got a Marie Curie, they're attracted. It is actually a recruiting tool, because they see that we're doing things differently and they want to be involved in a culture that does that. Here's the first prize winner of the 2021 contest. It's a little jumpy, that's actually not part of the video. But you see now how they understood it, how they expressed it. The impact for our center came a lot after the art contest itself. There was a lot of interest in it. We were covered in a national magazine. We got a lot of free media, earned media. And so I'm going to go now into another artist story, and that is Hena. She is our artist in residence. Hena does fantastic, beautiful, sexy, these big metal pieces, and they're mechanized, and they play with perception and things like that. And so she collaborated with different scientists at our place, Jin-kyung being one of them. This is an exhibition that she had in Seoul with 2 of the pieces that she and Jin-kyung created together. So when she started, they initially had the idea she wanted to work with waste. And so we have these great copper rings in our center because we build a lot of our own instrumentation. And she's like, oh, I can use these copper rings. And we had to say, well, we actually can't use those copper rings because those are valuable. So then she and Jin-kyung had to think more, and they had to think more about waste. So what do you think is what do you think we create the most waste of? What is our biggest waste product as a research center? What do you think you create the most waste of as a researcher? The most waste of. Almost coffee, but I promise you there's something else that just hasn't occurred to you yet. Data. You create a tremendous amount of trash data. And so what they did was they then, please work for me. There we go. All right. We'll have a little lag. So they took our data, and then, so Jin-kyung, our researcher, sent data to Hena, and she created art with that data. What I love about this piece is that it shows what goes into creating research, right? Very often we just see the result, we see the paper, we see the outcome, and we celebrate that. What we don't get across is the effort. This tiresome, tireless dedication to loving the work that we do. And so this is a really incredibly touching piece for me. So some of the outcomes that have developed from this: Jin-kyung Kim got an invited talk at APS. We actually, as QNS, we were offered free trade show space on the floor of APS and at KPS. So that was about $10,000 worth of space that we would have had. We had over 2,000 visitors at the American Physical Society. We were also at the KPS meeting. There were 500 visitors, right? So a lot of people coming through, a lot of exposure for our little research center that we would not be able to get otherwise, right? We're stuck, we're up on this campus in Seoul. We wouldn't have the reach that we do if we weren't doing this type of public engagement. We have ongoing new opportunities. There's possibility of moving, of taking this on the road, and other countries have interest in it. And again, Hena comes up to me when I think, oh, we've put too much burden on her, and she says, thank you for making my dreams come true. So as an artist, it's incredibly important to her to be making this work as well. All right. Now, this is my favorite part of our public engagement. This has the most meaning for me because we are a foreign-led research center here in Korea. And this truly engages us in the Korean community. This nanocomic was actually an outreach effort created by our MOU partner, DIPC in Spain. They had an open call for their outreach to have the public develop quantum and nano stories. And they had an artist who would then make that into a comic. So I was meeting with them and I said, hey, can we translate this into Korean? And they said, sure. Now they had been making it and they had put it into libraries, but that didn't work for the Korean system. So Jihi right there, Jihi Min, one of our staff members, she said, wait, there is this free semester program in Korean middle schools. And so we hired middle school teachers to develop a hands-on curriculum based on the nanocomic and based on what we're doing with quantum nanoscience. And we taught that, we tested it for 6 years. My personal goal was to get it into every middle school in Korea, and we just did the math, and we're in half. We're in half of the middle schools of Korea right now. But this is the point I wish I could move around more with this mic. The point I really want to make. And that is that when you're talking to middle school kids, there's a lot of talk about, oh, it's really hard to talk about these quantum concepts. It's really challenging to get these things across. It's very hard to talk to adults and not talk down to them. But if you're teaching middle school kids, their parents are still involved and able to work with them on their assignments, and you're not talking down to anybody. But you're talking at a level that everybody can understand. So this is a really key point if you want to be getting engaged with this. The other part, the reason why we're getting so much uptake of this program is that these are topics that are not currently taught in the middle school curriculum. And I'm particularly proud of this. So far, 48,000 students have received this curriculum. that is very meaningful to me as a foreigner wanting to contribute to Korean society. All right. I want to show you a couple things. So they make artwork as part of the hands-on experience. And this person got excited about water. But I want you to look at this one over here. If you look closely at this picture, you see an STM tip up above. You see a tunnel current coming out of the STM. You see the nanometer scale. You see the spin charges and everything like that. So you see this whole like QNS lab part of it. But what you see is this young girl in the middle of it. She sees herself in the middle of our work, right? So this is engagement to me. We have held events also for Nanocomic. We held an open lab event we opened it to 50 students, because that was our capacity. We had a quantum magic show and everything like that. We got a little surprised by the response again, because we had 150 people show up, because what we weren't expecting, and we were very pleased to have happen, was that the kids brought their parents. And in some cases brought their grandparents, which is great because those are the taxpayers we're wanting to engage with. But there was actually one kid who traveled with his grandfather for 4 hours to attend this. So, a story now about Nanocomic. So this is Idohi. And this is this long-term relationship building. She was a Nanocomic student in 2021. When we originally proposed this to our research office, they said, no, don't talk to middle school students. That takes too long. Talk to high school students. Well, it turns out, they grow up. As a result of participating in Nanocomic, she changed her focus to science and math. She stayed connected to us. She followed us on our social media. She wrote our director a note in high school about how she was inspired. She attended one of the art contest events. She attempted to come to our university but didn't make it. So she's at a different university, but she chose to major in quantum engineering as a result of this long-term relationship. She emailed requesting an internship, and so she was an intern with us in 2025. Again, this is a story of changing lives through public engagement, and these are just the ones that we know about. All right. Very, very quickly, something that kind of has developed recently is the creativity that it's unleashed. My team saw that games were involved, so they're like, oh, show our games. They're very, very proud of the games. So we developed recently a quantum playground. And all of that is in our quantum toolbox, which is available on our website. Videos. We actually have videos of everybody in our center saying what quantum is in their native language. So sort of like what you saw, we have that as a video. All right. So again, what is our story? Our research center. What do we get out of all this, other than knowing that we're contributing and feeling good about it? We get reviewed very, very seriously on an ongoing basis. So this international review committee said that because of the outreach that we've done, it has amplified the stature of the work that we're doing. Now, they're saying the world-class scientific accomplishments of the center. If we weren't world-class in our scientific accomplishments, this would read very differently. It would read, they wasted their time doing this other stuff. But if you are that good, then it makes it more impactful. We've taken leadership in our entire global field through outreach, and the impact is greater than you would expect a little research center that is only 8 years old to have. And that turns into a lot of funding for us on a stable basis for the next several years. I would like you to meet the authors of our story. This is nobody's full-time job. Not mine, not any of the staff members who are involved. We are an ad hoc committee that includes one postdoc who is our scientific advisor and keeps us from wandering too far afield. And so I come back to your hero's journey, right? You saw the ordinary world. You know the call to adventure. You're already in the room. Like, that's not new news. Some people can still be at the point like, oh, that's nice for other people to do. I'm not going to do it. That's fine. You're still on the journey. We'll get you. You met the mentor, and so now it's up to you to cross the threshold. What are you going to do next? Oops. What's your story going to be? Public engagement fosters trust when it's meaningful, interactive, and transparent. It's about building trust and engagement. And with that, thank you very much.